welcome on the Watches TV, welcome at the Watches Club, and welcome on a special edition of Primetime, mainly dedicated on what just happened here in Geneva with the first and probably only multi-brand event of 2020. But on the 1st of September, Rolex also revealed some new watches, naturally taking over the entire blogosphere and getting people unsurprisingly crazy. But on that very same day, well, we have something even more important which happened as we are celebrating the 9th anniversary of the Watches TV. Can you imagine this? Already 9 years that we cover our beloved watchmaking industry. And I take this opportunity to thank you for watching us and for your support and interaction. Of course, a very special thanks to our patrons making this possible. And you are all welcome to join. Link somewhere below in the corner up there. And you are now more than 127,000 subscribed to this channel, and this totally fills us with joy and truly inspires us to do much more. Still so many stories to tell. So who says a 9th anniversary means that next year will be a very special year, and we are working on a pretty sexy surprise, and we will naturally come back on this in the next few months. So let's go back to Primetime, and today we will go over some of the things that are seen during the Geneva Watch Days, but not necessarily covered with our individual video reports. And for info, we haven't yet published all of them, so more good stuff coming your way. And before talking watches, well, I just wanted to say a couple of things about the event itself and simply how fantastically good it felt to see and meet people from the watchmaking family, whether brand people not seen since quite a while, watch aficionados, retailers, and of course my fellow journalist colleagues. Everyone was just happy to see each other. There was really, a super vibe to it. And it really pointed out quite explicitly the importance and pertinence of such gatherings for the good of the industry. And I'm not saying that it was nice to see old friends. It wasn't like a good old alumni school reunion, but it was actually useful. Brands made business, some even surprised by it. Brands presented some of their new pieces, and people got excited and contributing to a much needed forward-going momentum considering the context. Okay, the downside is that maybe we'll soon hear about the Geneva watchmaking COVID cluster soon, but I sincerely doubt it. Proper measures were taken, masks were worn, and so forth. But really, this event gave us all a nice breath of fresh air. Weather was beautiful, and for some journalists coming for the first time to Geneva at this period compared to the often pale weather experienced during the SIHH still in winter, well, it made them discover another rather pleasant facet of Geneva, and some people even came from another time period to participate in this event. Anyhow, for me, the most important thing that came out, apart from this positive signal that the watchmaking planet is still turning, is that events can be done differently. And I guess this was a real eye-opener for some. So just last week on this channel, I talked about the situation regarding where we stand when it comes to the watch shows for 2021. So the future of watches and wonders, etc. But now I am pretty sure that what has just been experienced will indeed greatly influence what will happen next year. So first of all, the decentralized format, which enabled brands to do more or less like they wanted, spend according to what they can, have this informal feel to it. Well, all this really worked. People that attended came because they really wanted it and not because, they were invited, meaning i.e. flights and lodging paid for them. It was their own commitment, and I have to say that this automatically filtered the ones that really care about watchmaking instead of bringing, fashion bloggers and the likes whose interest for mechanical art can be slightly questioned and is ultimately paid by brands at some great expense. So to make it short, brands officially participating were scattered around 5-6 hotels, but all quite next one to one another. And you do have to remember that Geneva, it's kind of a small village. So it was really easy to go from one meeting to the other. And then you had some other brands which benefited from this, having their little things going on throughout the city. But that's all fine. You also had, for instance, FP Journe, which hosted a very special exhibition celebrating the 20th anniversary of the chronomètre à résonance, and will soon come with a very special report on this, just a little teaser. Well, all in all, this was a great experience, a bit of a mix of what used to exist at Baselworld with the Palace, for those who remember this, and the Dubai Watch Week, and I firmly believe that this is the way to go. We will most probably have some kind of big event in April. Things are getting a little bit clearer with the big players in Geneva, in Geneva's convention hall, but now I really hope that this Geneva Watch Days format will indeed be developed upon, and that many other brands will be able to enjoy and participate in a great watchmaking week here in Geneva. Okay, of course, I mean, one has to take into consideration the special COVID circumstances of the moment, and this naturally, I mean, limited the number of people being able to attend. But at the same time, I think brands did a pretty good job with their digital presence and exemplifies nicely what the physical event will look in the future, and there is naturally room for improvement. But this was already a very good start, and I would like to thank the initiative and the risks taken by Bulgari and Breitling in pushing to pull this off. Bravo, thank to you, and also prove that big players and much smaller outfits can coexist. Well, actually they need to coexist. It's not one against the other, it's beneficial for the entire watch ecosystem. Okay, enough about the event, and let's now talk about some of the watches seen there, with a small recap of the things we didn't cover in our previous videos and the ones to come very shortly. But before getting there, and instead of doing a wrist shot of what I'm wearing, because you know that, I just wanted to show you a pretty cool time-telling object which now stands in our Old Town Club. So this clock is called Sculpture of Time, and the idea is pretty simple. As you can see, you have a linear 24-hour scale starting at 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. and you have this marker which moves ever so slowly and indicating the actual time. Okay, hard to see the precise minute, but that's not what this object is about. Just a visual allegory of time passing by, and I quite like this dimension of this limited Swiss-made object. Alright, and now watches, and we were very happy to see in the flesh the new Bovet Recital R26 Brainstorm Chapter 2 coming in this very original monoblock sapphire case where this beautiful tourbillon movement is fitted on the case back and then cleverly attached to the case. This new model will come in slightly different versions, and the one we got to see was the blue quartz version limited to 10 pieces, but overall 60 R26 will be produced. I mean, usual production numbers for Bovet for these kind of exceptional timepieces. You have a moon phase indicator at 9 o'clock, a universal time indicator at 3, and as always, the level of execution is simply stunning and fully demonstrating the brand's commitment to fine craftsmanship. Just look at the finishing of this timepiece, just incredible. One original feature is the linear 5-day power reserve indicator seen at 12 o'clock between the lugs, and what I really liked is that you feel like this movement is kind of floating within this transparent case. Really spectacular, and though the watch is rather big, almost 48 millimeter in width, but it strangely doesn't feel this big. Then we saw the new version of the Virtuoso 8, also a flying tourbillon, but this time coming with 10 days of power reserve. You can see the actual indicator at 10 o'clock on this dedicated sub-dial, central hour and minute hands, and a big date indicator at 2 o'clock. And the date is very simply set by pushing a small button found on the crown at 12 o'clock. Size of this timepiece is 44 millimeter, comes either in a pink or white gold case, and as the R26 comes in this signature sloped writing desk shaped case, but now they just added like a small delicately engraved wave, which really brings a little something. So overall, this new timepiece will be limited to 50 pieces. Okay, next brand, and actually this will also be a little teaser as we got to see the new Ferdinand Berthoud FB2, a totally new timepiece for them. New rounded case design in comparison to the octagonal shaped FB1. New movement, not a tourbillon, but it still uses fusée chain mechanism, dear to them. And when I said little teaser, well, I just wanted to tell you guys that very shortly we will do a full video on it and share much more details about its making and some super interesting facts regarding its timekeeping performances achieved with this new movement architecture. We then saw the new Ulysse Nardin Blast models coming in a 45mm case, a case with some strong design elements with these angled and faceted lugs and open-worked features. And there's a very modern feel to this tourbillon watch coming in 4 different materials: titanium, black, or white ceramic, as well as a rose gold version. Mechanically speaking, I quite liked how they fitted the rotor of this automatic watch directly on the barrel, quite ingenious and nice looking. But for me, the highlight was this pretty cool mask I received there, and yes, Ulysse Nardin is really going full on with their shark-inspired communication campaigns. At Overk, we got to see a one-off version of the URT8, that's their flipping timepiece introduced a few years ago, but here presented with these dinosaur-inspired engraving, and to engrave titanium is quite a challenge. So I have to say that it's pretty enjoyable to flip it around, feels really cool and solid at the same time. So on one side you have this scenery, and on the other side you will find the signature satellite timed telling display. And for the little fun, well, I went to visit them wearing my very own cheap version of this mechanism with my Gorilla watch. Okay, I know this was a bit provocative, but we had good laughs anyhow. And I just wanted to say that they will soon introduce a new timepiece, an evolution of one of my favorite watches of all time. And we will get back to you with another report on this also in the very near future. I know, just a bit of additional teasing. Okay, and then we went off to see Jacob&Co, who showed us the latest version of their crazy Bugatti Chiron timepiece with this amazing engine animation. And I know there is not much purpose to it, but it's nevertheless such a cool thing to activate. Always gets me going. So they modified a few things compared to the model which we had showcased on this channel. For instance, they slightly spreaded out the 3 crowns, which actually makes it much more convenient to wind and trigger this animation. And there has also been a few tweaks on the case design as to make it even closer to the design of the supercar. Then we were shown another crazy timepiece called the Phoenix, and based on the Astronomia, coming with this imposing and spectacular beast taking almost the full volume available. It's made out of solid gold, it's initially casted, and then an artisan took months to engrave it, and just look at all the details. I mean, really quite something. And as you can expect, this is a unique piece. Quite heavy on the wrist, but since you need pretty large wrists to wear it, I guess it won't be much of a problem for the future owner of this extravagant watch. But since we were there, and since Jacob is first and foremost a jeweler, well, we got to see something really unique with this unique ring featuring an amazing 44-carat Paraiba tourmaline stone. Just look at that color and how these things reflect the light. And we weren't even in a very luminous room, but this stone was shining in a completely hypnotical manner. Okay, we're getting a bit out of our watchmaking universe, but still wanted to share this with you. Not every day that we will come across something like this. Well, we did see some other interesting things, but we didn't have time to shoot everything. But again, for me, these Geneva Watch Days have been a very interesting experience, one that hopefully will set a precedent and one to be repeated, I hope. Kind of a game changer, and I'm pretty convinced that those who were initially really skeptical about this concept have now totally changed their minds. Brands who were hesitant in participating probably have a few regrets. And I say this because most of the people we talked to were really happy on the business side as well. So not only did it send a positive message, like I said, but most importantly, it proved its reason of being. Events can be done at a much lower cost, much more down to earth, more efficient, and this naturally makes me very happy for the industry if this new way of doing things will now be embraced by additional players. So on the positive note, we will now share a few words from Jean-Christophe Babin, CEO of Bulgari and initiator of the event. And we'll talk about his view about the Geneva Watch Days. And again, I mean, bravo for pulling this off. Viva watchmaking, viva new ways of doing things, and I will shortly hand the mic to Mr. Babin. But for those who haven't seen them all, well, we did produce a few videos regarding MB&F and their new tripod clock made with L'Épée, H. Moser and their center second three-hander streamliner, Rouge and their beautiful musical automatons, De Béthune and a special and sexy DB28, and still coming in the next few days, well, we have something on Breitling, on a new timepiece, but most importantly, we wanted to understand where the brand is standing today and where it is going. We have another video on Bulgari and yet another record for the thinnest automatic chronograph tourbillon, and the reintroduction of the aluminium collection. Also a report on a new Chapek, not totally new, but a new animation. And finally one on Maurice Lacroix and the 20th anniversary of the Pontos collection. So yes, a few extra videos for you guys. Enjoy, see you real soon. Thanks for watching and sharing. Love you all. See you soon.
One thing it's very important for two reasons. One is that 2020 is not over yet. All the opposite. We are still ahead of us having the peak season starting. Deepawali in India, Golden Week in Asia, Thanksgiving in the USA, Christmas all around the world, New Year all around the world, the Orthodox Christmas on the 6th of January, and last but not least, at the end of the day, Chinese New Year. So the next 5 months are crucial for the industry. And so to enter into those 5 months without novelties is a suicide. We know that the final client loves novelties. Our retailers like to sell novelties. You know, it's more exciting. It's really very inspiring. And so in absence of Watch Fair, because the Watch Fair Basel and Watch and World have not been postponed, they've been cancelled, which is very strange because usually you tend to postpone, to delay, but not to cancel. They've been cancelled, so we decided that we need absolutely to introduce those novelties. And obviously we could do road shows, which we're gonna do anyhow, but we needed, a collective event from the watch industry, which is always more powerful than a brand event. Why? Because people are very much hesitating to travel those days. If it's one brand, even more. If it's 17 brands, much less. So obviously there is a real value to be together, to offer to our clients and media the diversity of Swiss watchmaking, because there are very big brands on the one hand, and you have very small new brands on the other hand. So it's a very good representation of the Swiss genius when it comes to luxury watches. It's in Geneva. And so we thought that let's take advantage of that opportunity to reinvent the salon or the watch fair concept. So let's make it first digital, because we do it ourselves. So we are not impose any kind of strict format as it was in the past. So as we do it ourselves, let's do it the way we believe it should be. So it should be digital first. So yes, we will meet a lot of people, but at the same time, for all those people who cannot come to Geneva, we'll take Geneva to China, to United States, to South Africa, to Middle East. And I spend half of my time on super Zoom meetings where I do exactly what I'm doing with you right now, one-to-one, but I do it via Zoom. And thanks to high-definition cameras, we have really a glorification of product, which is virtually as good, if not better, than what the eye can see in our meeting. Second thing, it has to be open to the public. The watch industry dramatically needs to reopen itself to a broader public. And so the best way to do it is to have our exhibition freely open to the public from the first to the last day, which is taking place. Third thing is that it's decentralized, so very agile. I do it in a hotel. Some friends do it in their manufacturer because they are from Geneva. We are from Neuchâtel, so we can. Others are doing it in their boutique because they prefer the boutique and it's big enough. So each brand is deciding exactly what it needs. So eventually, we feel better because we don't like to be with a kind of imposed format as it is usually in the first. And the last point, I think, which is also very, very important, that at the end of the day, thanks to all those measures, the cost is much, much, much lower than any existing fair ever.
So do you think it could be a game changer?
I think so. I mean, until yesterday, I was believing it, but not sure yet because I was not yet receiving any feedback from our retailers, from the media, from the authorities, from the Swiss Watchmaking Federation. And then yesterday we had the first day, we had the opening ceremony, and so everyone realized that it was stylish, it was luxurious, it was representative of the creativity and the excellence of Swiss brands, and at the same time that it was nice, cool, also the fact that you have to walk 5 minutes from one brand to another at the outside is much better than to walk inside a big building where at the end of the day you feel that you have been really closed into the dark and air conditioning for 10 hours. So people feel good. They like to be together again, which is the first time ever. It was also the first speech of the Geneva State Council in 7 months. Imagine that. So for all of us, it's a restart. And it's good. It's good psychologically. It's a very strong signal we send to our retail partners. By the way, this watch will be first an exclusivity for the retail partners, not for our boutiques. So our partners will start with because we want to support them. And also we are giving them 1 year more warranty. So, you know, there's a lot of goodies in that from Bulgari standpoint, but also from other brands. And therefore, yes, when we came out with that concept, which were very special for all of us, we rallied many other brands. So from 4 or 5 initially, we ended up with 17. We ended up with a fantastic location on the lakeside, thanks to the support of Geneva State, which no brand ever got before, and we got it. We got very good deals with all the hotels because the hotels found a lot of interest into getting some business because August has been very tough otherwise. And eventually now, yes, I believe after just 1.5 days, so it's a bit hasty perhaps, but I strongly believe because feedback have been so many and so converging that this is clearly a new concept which is clearly addressing the 21st century requirements.